If you're into Game Boy, there's a good chance you'll like my new Neo Geo Pocket Color series too. Every Thursday I'm reviewing a new Neo Geo game. Just join the PO3 Patreon or become a channel member here on YouTube. When handheld racing games began to take shape on the Game Boy Color, there was a certain optimism that the upgraded system could really now handle something closer to the console experience. V-Rally had proven that it was even still possible in the monochrome, with a surprisingly fluid pseudo-3D effect and a sense of speed that actually impressed for the hardware. It wasn't perfect, but it offered a glimpse into what a serious portable racer could be. Then came Top Gear Pocket, a name with pedigree, with Top Gear Rally coming out on N64 a couple of years before this, carrying the promise of some real console-style thrills on the go, with the added novelty of a built-in rumble feature. Unfortunately, the result is a textbook case of good ideas undone by poor execution. This is an arcade-style racer featuring a selection of cars and tracks set across different terrain types, allegedly. There's a standard championship mode on offer as well as a time attack one, with 3 different course types at first: grassland, desert, and jungle, with others like the savannah and night town to unlock once you beat those. The initial problem that you'll spot straight away is that there's really very little difference between the tracks, slightly different cosmetic changes, and the tracks get a bit harder, but really there's a criminal lack of variation in basically any way you can think of with these tracks. You'll get a choice between 2 cars at the start, but you can unlock others as you progress. Again, the difference is nominal. One car might get to top speed quicker, whereas another might max out a few miles per hour higher, but they all handle basically the same. This also spreads to the different terrain type. Whether the track is tarmacked, sandy, muddy, or even icy makes no difference. This is surely something that's an absolute prerequisite for a rally game, no? There are few course obstacles to navigate either, apart from the corners and an occasional bump in the road. It's almost as if you're on circuits rather than streets or the forest or whatever. No sense of challenge, no clever layouts or surprises to keep you engaged, just endless straights and mild turns. The movement, to its credit, is relatively smooth for the Game Boy Color, but smoothness alone doesn't make for excitement. You can leave your thumb firmly planted on the accelerator for most of the race, and you'll still finish comfortably. It feels less like racing and more like holding down a button while scenery scrolls by. Control responsiveness doesn't help either. Steering feels sluggish, and while later vehicles theoretically offer better handling, the difference is marginal at best, unnoticeable at worst. The opponents don't make things much better either. I mean, rally driving is by nature a time trial thing anyway, with staggered starts, right? But in this game you don't get any checkpoint system where you can see how far ahead or behind pace you are. You're literally starting at the back and trying to catch, then overtake other cars, something you don't really do in rally. In reality, a lot of the time the drivers don't even see each other because their starts are, like I say, staggered. And this creates its own problems as well, because the other cars have a frustrating tendency to behave as if magnetically drawn to your car, constantly veering into you in a way that feels artificial rather than competitive. It's not clever blocking, which doesn't happen in this sport anyway, like I say, but just cheap programming. And of course, any collision punishes you way more than it does the other drivers. Thing is, without this, the game's far too easy to win. Just more of this artificially inflated difficulty we keep coming across recently, it seems. The much-touted rumble feature, the game's major marketing hook, was supposed to add a physical sense of immersion, but it doesn't really compensate for the visual and mechanical shortcomings. In one way, it is an inspired addition, something that you'd think would really work, but like everything else here, it's not programmed nearly as well as it should have been. It doesn't provide anything in the way of subtle feedback when turning or touching rumble strips, yet it fully kicks off whenever you crash. It's either on or off. There's no gradients here, and it doesn't add very much in the way of immersion at all. The game doesn't even look all that good. The cars are absolutely minuscule, and all the environments are as minimalist as it's possible to be. The scrolling backgrounds are okay, but the foregrounds are just empty. Hardly impressive, especially given what had already been achieved elsewhere on the same system. The audio fares little better. The menu music is whatever, but that engine drone is pretty miserable. It's difficult to recommend Top Gear Pocket even to enthusiasts of the genre. As a technical curiosity, it's mildly interesting to feel the rumble pack, I guess, although Pokémon Pinball from a few weeks ago used it much better. As a racing experience, it's painfully average at best. The physics are non-existent, the AI is erratic, and the tracks feel like they were designed by someone who's never actually driven a car. Ultimately, Top Gear Pocket isn't just overshadowed by V-Rally, it's straight up outclassed in almost every conceivable way. Where V-Rally delivered a legitimate challenge and a believable sense of speed, this one feels like a lazy imitation with a gimmick bolted on top. This rumble feature adds little too, except about 2 inches to the top of the cartridge.